Hi, folks. This is Kevin here, and I wanted to put up a YouTube video reviewing our successes and failures for Mindful Living Sanctuary, our homestead, over 2013. Here we go. So I'm going to cover, education, earthworks, water harvesting, energy capture and conservation, health, food production, prep and storage, the construction projects that I've had going on, which I've already posted some videos about, and some of the homesteading skills that were developed. So first, Jeff Lawton's, if you go to jefflawton.com, GEOFFLAWTON, he's going to be starting another permaculture design course, and I was very fortunate to be able to take that last year. So for those of you homesteaders that are off in your own remote locations, this can work out really well. He threw in a beneficial earthworks course at the end as well, and that was fantastic. The PDC was online during the time when I was already doing quite a bit of work on the homestead on our site here, but it ended up working out just great. So that was a fantastic educational other things that I've been studying, researching, other permaculture research projects, everything from chinampas to building our guilds in our various food forests. We have two food forests that we've started development in. Um, I've been continuing since I retired from veterinary medicine, studying nutrition. Unfortunately, the American Medical Association and the American Veterinary Associations have minimal training and educational opportunities to prepare doctors uh, for for understanding one of the fundamental building blocks of our health, and that really encompasses nutrition. And nutrition is based on what we're eating, certainly, and soil science plays a big role in that. And Elaine Ingham is one person that I've been following online, much of her work, as well as others, including Paul Stamets, the mycologist, as well. So those are areas that I've been studying rather extensively. Herbal medicine, I've been working in that area as well, learning a great deal, and I'm about ready to take the ham radio course as well. So as far as some of our earthworks this year, we added four more ponds. Now we have seven ponds, and that's not including the large beaver pond that the beavers made over a decade ago. Over here on this lower left-hand corner is pond two that was created first at the end of June. The only reason that there's water in this pond at that time was because we hit one of those hugelkultur pits, which really retains tremendous volumes of water up here. And hopefully I'll present another presentation in the future talking about that, because I think it's an untapped resource for capturing carbon and sequestering water. Here's pond one, which went up during the fall months, and you can see the foliage is changing here. And here's a dark section right here, and this water came from hugelkultur pit, and that's why it's nice, dark, and rich. That's those huge trees that were buried up in this area. That's a large willow tree there, and that's a bench for a couple of people to sit on to give you some scale. Here's pond three and the first part of the canal system. And this is what it looks like. In each one of our ponds, we're trying to maximize the edge effect by realizing each edge that we create, there's actually a road that goes behind here as well, but the deer are always down in this area. This pond is one of the areas that the osprey feed out of all the time. The belted kingfishers are here, and certainly all the ponds, the herons and the bitterns are there as well. And so each one of our ponds, we're realizing the edges and creating distinct and separate ecotones in each one of these systems. Here's one of the swale systems that's in our second food forest at the northern part of the property. And so up in the second food forest, these are some of the trees and perennials that I've already put in, and I've got a whole lot more that I'm getting ready now to put in. But we've already put in 50 honey locust trees, 12 native plum trees, English walnuts, persimmons, red buds, pecans, heart nuts, uh, catapla, hazelnut grove, whether you want to call it tree or bushes, honeyberries, raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, service berries, and various grapevines as well. And interspersed amongst all of those areas, we have different beds as well. And we're currently planning for our sections there and how we're going to put our pattern development and maximize the edge effect around each one of those swale systems and those already planted trees. So now up to the first food forest that we put in a year ago. This is behind pond 4. I've got one hive here. We've got some more down. We're utilizing everything in the area. This area has been heavily mulched. The amount of mulch that I brought into this area and put on basically this is more of a gravel bed area 1 year ago. Now there were a few trees around here. There's about 7 trees in total that were here when we put in the solar panels and I put in this food forest after that. This is a new hive stand that I put in, and I may have to modify this again and put a small enclosure around it because our snow was right up this high this winter. It's been a tough winter, and I don't know how well our bees have done. I have one hive that's showing some activity. We had our first 48-degree day the day before yesterday. Then we had a big snowstorm yesterday. And another shot of this is our first food forest. We've got lots of nectarines, plum, peaches, pears, apples, cherries. We've got some pawpaws in this area, Osage oranges, uh, many blueberry bushes. We have all these blueberry bushes that you see in between each one of these fruit trees. They were all excavated from other areas as we were clearing and brought them up and transplanted them into this area. They were pruned fairly heavily, and this spring I've got to prune them again. I'm way behind in all my pruning on the property. Another shot within the food forest as well. This is all just 1 year old. Here's the back of the solar panels, and if you go back to the video showing the construction of the solar panels, in June of 2012, you'll be able to see this was all completely gravel area. I've got several inches of mulch down. Lots of comfrey I've gotten planted in as well. This is an access road. I still have a couple of hoses around here that I water during the drought times. If you notice under these solar panels, I'll be talking about these water totes as some of our water storage under both sets here. We've got 24 275 water totes to store water. Taking another shot, looking back, that's that first hive that we saw and the hives on the stand there. We're just walking back from the food forest. Again, another shot looking into the forest. And this is the first food forest that we put in last year. Now just south of the solar panels, you can see amaranth back in here. That wasn't a great success. And then over this, we have our a pond, and this is set right on top of one of those hugelkultur pits. And beyond that, there's a pond being excavated right at this time that this picture was taken. Right back here, you can see the area that's cleared. And that's our second main garden, which are hugelkultur beds in hugelkultur gardens. Raspberries in the raspberry line located in the first food forest. Lots of red clover in this area. We've got white clover on the other side. Wonderful medicinal, great nitrogen fixer, all working very well with the raspberries. We had a really nice crop this year. Some of our trees, these trees are each 5 years old now. A couple of red delicious. This is a plum, our main jam plum tree. And I pruned them fairly aggressively uh, last winter, but I just went out and pruned them much more aggressively, and I didn't get into doing summer pruning. And I see that I'm going to have to spend more time pruning all of my fruit trees much more regularly. This little camper here that you can see in the background, that's John Gilbert. He brought over that camper and we unloaded it, and that had a hive of bees in it, and I did a cutout, and that worked out fairly well. And this is the dirt piled here is from where the root cellar is set. Notice the wood stack of wood is uncovered. Talk about that in a few minutes. Now, some of the elements in the around the property, we've been building pergolas. Now, these two, which transverse, we can go from one pergola to the other pergola, and there's a in between. And here's another shot. You can see I've let everything grow up wonderfully. Here's an edge right around the canal system, and hopefully one of these days I'll put in a video about our biological filtration system, this canal system. I spent 2 years of my life working just on this, following some of the designs that were done in Germany and Dr. John Todd. But here's one of our grapevine pergolas. This is another one over here. I've got some swarm traps sitting on top of there. Here's the big pergola that I built this spring. This one's for the kiwis up next to the house and the dog run, and our temporary chicken coop, which is inside of the dog run right now. Other structures we built, some keyhole gardens, and these are all stones we pick around the property. And of course, a keyhole is designed in such a way that we never have to step onto. It's a double reach system, so a person can reach over here or reach from here. And all elements within the garden, the raised bed, can be obtained by reaching comfortably around. And I like them raised. It's much more comfortable for people any health problems at all. So that was the first one down in here, and you can actually see we started some of our trees in that one, and there's some chives in that one, basil in here, and this is another keyhole garden, another shot of the same keyhole garden. All these little invaginations making everything easily accessible. And another keyhole garden, and in here we've got some weeds growing up in here right now and some clover. However, this is borage and strawberries mostly, and some asparagus. This was all gravel 3 years ago. All this has been excavated out, and it's coming back pretty. One more shot of the cool keyhole gardens in this area. And these are protected by this, we call our dog run area. See, one of our small figs is about twice that size right now, but we brought them outside during the summer months and with the hopes of getting the greenhouse up, but we're not there yet. Okay, water harvesting. So we've got extensive swales, and I did already post a video showing some of the new swales and ponds, previous YouTube video. Our canal system, which I haven't shown too much about yet, but that's been working very well at biological filtration. We've got a landfill near us. We've had a kerosene spill in the neighborhood. There's the old a gravel mine, and we're in gravel type material as a substrate for most of our property. And then again, the 7 ponds. We have 3 different water access. We have our drilled well, 170 foot, a machine excavated tiled well. I'm not sure just how deep that is, but that one does not go dry as far as I know so far. Our hand dug well, which gets low, but that's only a few feet high as well, but that's spring fed, pretty nice. And then we got those 24 275 gallon water totes that are under the solar panels. And so we've got quite a bit of water we can retain there. The pump house, I'm referring to our root cellar. That isn't finished yet. I'll show you a shot of that. But inside of that, I have all of the pipes going from various wells and going to the water tote storage areas and to a distribution system. So I can mix and match water system. I'll just spend 1 second mentioning this. We've got a reverse osmosis water filtration system in our house. Our drilled well water has been perfect based on the information that the DEC testing has done, which we had it tested 2 years ago. However, one of the reasons that I'm written this little bit down here, those of you who are on municipal water, if you just go ahead and Google disinfectant byproducts, you'll see some of these names coming up at the EPA. These are all carcinogens that are in it. They get absorbed through the skin, get inhaled when you're in the shower as well. So you can, I've just been concerned about it. And unfortunately, many municipalities, including ours, are putting the fear in people about, wells are drying up in the area, and we're also having troubles um, with uh, pollutants within the water. So non-point source pollution ending up in the water. So people have had some E. coli and coliforms. Well, E. coli is a coliform as well, and higher iron content. And of course, if you say things like that, they think somebody's pooping in their well. And it does mean that there has been some fecal material that's made it into their water source. However, those are often of minimal concern relative to these components that are in our municipal water supply. Energy production on the site. So we got a grid-tied photovoltaic system. So far this year, we've made almost 44 megawatts since in its lifetime. And that's June 6th, 2012 is when the system went online. And over the last 12 months, we've made almost 32 megawatts. Our gasoline for lawnmower is almost eliminated. I no longer mow the lawns. I'm developing all of the land, and it's really worked out wonderfully for all the bees, and not just the honeybees, but also for the bees and wasps that are in the area. Because even the wasps are doing better because they parasitize and are little carnivores going after other insects. So it's really helped out in the gardens. Gasoline, I've eliminated that for all the water pumps because I would use a 300-gallon tote that I'd haul behind my little four-wheeler and water everything using that. Now I use a 12-volt pump to do it if necessary. And since putting in the swales and the huge hugelkultur pits, the ground is being maintained pretty nice and moist. Gasoline for chainsaws reduced by 90%. So, and that isn't because I'm doing less, it's because now I have using mostly electric. And I'll go over our power station that we're using. But there's been no change in my feeds for my tractors. Redundancy will potentially at least make your life more comfortable. This is our backup generator in case the power goes out. Being our solar system is grid tied. It means that for safety reasons, the line going to the utility is cut off, and we're no longer making energy through our solar panels during those times. So we got a 45 kilowatt generator to back up everything on the property. Health-wise, very good. Not excellent yet, but very good. I'm healing up since last year, my medical problems. We're on whole food, plant-based diets here. We eat lots of fresh, raw vegetables, lots of fresh air and exercise, sprouts during the winter months because we can't grow that much greens. Green juices all year round, strictly non-GMO, organic, and mostly high nutrient content produce. Food production, preparation, and storage. Well, this is kind of a big one. The grocery bill is cut at least 50% since doing things. Last spring, we did do our first sugaring using all the maple forests that we have here. Well, I just used a few of the trees. So I bought an evaporator, and the plans are to construct our sugar shack on top of the root cellar when I get the opportunity. Honey production, we've been able to have raw honey all year long. Also have had the beeswax that we've used in some of our products that we've made. Our annual garden production, the kitchen gardens, has exceeded 100% of our needs throughout the whole growing season, and we extend it both ways our growing season. But our winter greenhouse production has been minimal this year. The little Harbor Freight greenhouse, we haven't produced that much this year. Uh, Dehydrating fruits and vegetables has worked out great, freezing fruits until we can get a chance to get them canned. For instance, we just got our strawberries and raspberries canned in February, and we've been doing better with seed saving. Here's the Worry hive, one of the windows in the Worry hive. Some of the honey here through the windows. These are hugelkultur pits. These are 2 to 3 foot deep. This is 6 foot wide, 3 foot wide with 5 foot paths in between. Hugelkultur mound that's 12 foot wide and 3 foot deep. 2 other hugelkultur mounds on the other side. We planted these pretty densely this year, and things have worked out pretty darn well. We've grown so much, can't get to it and get all the materials out. Here's the shot of what's in the couple of the freezers, lots of strawberries and raspberries. We just got these out, but lots of greens that we froze during the time. Lots of dehydrated foods, sweet potatoes, cucumbers, tomatoes. I'm sorry, eggplant up here, cucumbers here, beets, beans, a whole variety. Lots of canning as well, canning supplies. So these things have all worked out. What else got here? Seed saving. We've gotten pretty good at saving our seeds. So we've got 3 different containers, and inside of these we save all our old jars and label them, the dates, times, and construction projects. Well, this year's been a huge construction. Besides the earthworks that we've done, I've been working on quite a few projects. So the greenhouse, I've got quite a bit done with that. I'll talk about that. And the root cell and kitchen minimal stuff. So this is a greenhouse that I purchased. We won a bid on. It's 32 foot wide by 69 feet long. It's divided into 2 sections. There's actually a section right here, right at the end of this table. And here's a shot of it from the south side. This is the west side and the east side, 2 different shots. I know it looks a little weird the way that shot is. And I took those down a year ago, just before I became ill. Now here's the site where it's going on the property. Our zone 1's quite an extensive area. We've excavated out the area, laid down the form boards 2 by 12, so these are 1 foot thick footers. And I got the footers. So that's the greenhouse over to your left. This is a chicken run here, chicken coop here, and storage area. We've got data access, power in and out, water supplies in, and over here some coils that are the geothermal cooling as well. Here's the geothermal cooling that's going to get put down into the pond that's right alongside of this in a couple of moments. Here we've got the footers rebar in place. Those were the greenhouses over here. Now we're looking east and west. This is the storage area, chicken coop, and chicken run. And what do we use on top of the footer? Well, I use these build block insulated concrete forms, 2.5 inches thick on either side, giving us 5 inches of insulation, 8 inches of concrete, rebar reinforced, and these plastic pegs so that you can mount anything on either side. And these are extremely strong. They can pull a 3.5 inch screw right through a 1.5 inch 2x4, right through the whole thing. Now we're talking today. So this is the greenhouse, this whole area here divided into 2 sections, and back there, this here is the chicken coop and storage area and chicken run. Here I've got the chicken run and the chicken coop and storage area all reinforced, getting it reinforced. Now down in this area, so we're in the southernmost greenhouse area, we've got very well insulated walls. And if you're going to have a solar thermal efficient greenhouse, and we're in in a very cold climate, very windy site. And so we need everything insulated quite well if we're going to use thermal mass to our advantage. So insulation goes on top of here. So I poured on top of this soil, which is where we excavated out, and we got the footers right up on top of this. Now the next thing that goes down is 3.5 inches of insulation. And that goes down on top of, I actually put a thin layer of screened gravels to make everything nice and level and smooth. So we get this insulation down. The next step was put a vapor barrier down, poured a concrete slab, because this is where all the water totes are going. So there's 3 different thermal mass areas in both sections of the greenhouse. I think it'll make more in a couple of moments. In the base of these areas where the water totes are going to be, I took a bucket, cut off the top of it, made a little shaped area for the concrete so that the water could go into it, and could put a little sump there, and that way get the water level down to a 1/2 inch or so. Got the concrete poured, 8-inch walls. Now this doesn't have to be insulated because the heat's going to stay within the greenhouse, or the coolness is going to stay within the greenhouse. So from this wall is 4 foot high. So the stone in here is 4.5 feet high. And this whole thing is 32 feet wide, and this section here in this first greenhouse is 39 feet long, and the second one's 29 feet high, long. The one behind the wall there that we're looking at is going to be the tropical area, and this is going to be our greens production area and starting area. Another shot, these are the Simon forms that were used to form up the 8-inch concrete wall. If you look, you can see all these striations. That's right where the concrete wall, the forms were. So this is where the water totes go. There'll be a floor over this. Now we got to start putting in hundreds of tons of stone in these areas. Oh, here we are. 4-foot wall for the chicken coop all the way around, 6-foot wall or 7 foot going down to the ground for the greenhouse. But when you're walking around later on, it's just going to be 2-foot high, little knee-high wall. The rest of that area is all thermal mass, 5 foot of thermal mass. This area here, we're going to fill in and pour concrete over, get all our plumbing fixtures in. Really important, we want to fill this with stone so that we don't settling. Put a vapor barrier around the outside, 4-inch drainage pipe going around with number 2 washed stone, and then felt material over the surface of it, and then we'll backfill on top of that. Here's make sure we had good seals around all of our penetrations. This is for a cool air intake going into the greenhouse as well, anticipating all that I can. These systems here are going to come out of the dehydrator. We're going to use the greenhouse's heat that goes to the peak of the ceiling and run it down to a downdraft through a dehydrator, and then we'll either dump it outside or we'll dump it into our thermal mass unit. And here we are filling inside of the chicken coop area, storage area getting filled here. You can see here's one of the pipes comes out of this solar dehydrator going down into the thermal regions. Now here are the drain pipes in here, and this is for the raised beds inside of the greenhouse later on. Get a better idea. Floor drainage pipes going out, excuse me, to the pond. And these, all this area is going to be covered with rock, just like the other side. Now, it got late in the season, so I couldn't get any good shots. We got the concrete poured. So this is the floor. We'll build raised beds over each one of these areas. These are the floor drains. There's 4 of those here. Just single drains on this side. Over here, there's going to be the tropical zone, so it won't have the raised beds in that area. And the greenhouse goes up this section. Here you can see off to the side, that's the chicken run area. There's a chicken coop area and the storage area right there. And over to our side. And again, storage area, chicken coop area, chicken run area, right closest to us. And this is the tropical area. This will have a floor over it on top of all of those totes that'll be down in there. Water totes are really good at effectively changing temperatures rapidly. If I wanted to use a rocket stove to heat up the water rapidly. And those drains go over into pond 5, and then pond 5 goes down, feeds the forest garden as well. I got to decide where I'm going to be putting the composting chicken composting, like Jeff Lawton has come up with. This is a root cellar, same construction techniques. These are the 2x12s that are pressure washed after doing the forms for the greenhouse and chicken coops. So I brought them up here. I know there's a 2x6 tagged onto it. That's so the insulation can sit on top of it. I didn't get this completely covered over, so I've got some buckling of the floor because this floor doesn't have insulation under it because I'm using the slide real quick. This is the outdoor kitchen. I haven't made any progress this year. Still got plenty of leaves in it. It has a plumbing in it, has a power going to it, but I've got to finish that as well. So homesteading skills and project, we've been making our own soaps, shampoos, deodorants, laundry detergent, fermenting as well, making our own medicinal salves and ointments. We've made a solar dehydrator and a portable station as well. So here's some of our soaps. This is our bar shampoo. We don't, so if you go into places like Sally Anders or high-end soap where there's do-it-yourself or home fashion soap, we're not using a lot of the components that are using in those soaps. We're trying to use things, everything's going to be medicinal that touches us, whether it's comfrey, yarrow, turmeric, hemp, all of those are used, and cinnamon in these soaps, so that everything that comes in touch with our bodies is going to be something that's at the very least going to help us or not do harm. The deodorant had a little bit of a fail with this. The oil that was chosen in this particular one was a little firmer than I would like, so it was a little bit sensitive to my armpits, but my wife used this one just fine. My wife made up, Thea made up Mennonite type of deodorant, which I love, and it's all citrus odors as well. I know I'm using the borax in this, which is not as environmentally friendly. However, all of these things are being taken care of in our biological filtration system, which hopefully someday I'll get to recording a video about that. But just a little washing soda and some borax makes our first solution. And then we use one of our bars of soap, melt it down, mix it into the buckets, mix it thoroughly, let it set for 24 hours, remix it again, and we've got our laundry detergent. So it was under $4 for a year's worth of laundry detergent. We made 15 gallons of it. All right, so the portable power station. This charges many things that I use on the property, but I have the little Harbor Freight solar panel. So this is only 45 watts but for 4 deep cell marine batteries, it's worked out fairly well. However, that wasn't enough to power my big Makita electric chainsaw. So I've gone to 8 now as well. So we can see the extent of our charge. I've got all different adapters on here. And again, what I said before is I believe in minimally triple redundancy. And I don't want to be running a small generator, so I got also a 6 kilowatt small generator that's gasoline powered, and with the 8 deep cycle marine batteries, I can charge those, do whatever I'm doing, and just run the generator as needed. And this is off-site power the whole work site wonderfully, and use the solar panels during the summertime to do a great job. This is a Schumacher battery charger 30 amp system that I never actually use. Now this winter I'm using it some for a secondary source of batteries that I've got. All right, so our herbs, yarrow flowers, yarrow stems, plantain, comfrey, all of that we've been uh, dehydrating and saving and using for medicinal purposes. Composting, we've really gotten excited about this. We use horse manure, chicken, rabbit, lots of leaves, fruit. We've been really fortunate getting fruit from a business, fruit and cardboard. Hopefully I'll do a video on what we're doing with our cardboard, because I'm using it 2 entire businesses worth of cardboard. And everybody probably thinks I'm nuts, but I'm building soil left and right. Really beautiful soil. It takes a season to build the soil, just like the wood chips do. And it looks a little unsightly at first, but I'm taking things that other people wouldn't want and putting that carbon back into the soil. Garden waste kitty litter, I'm using that. We're using a wheat base, and I'm going to chicken scratch and layer mix next. Here's some of the composting leaves from the communities around the area that I go in and get with my trailer behind my truck. Here's one of the compost piles. Here we are, it's time to turn it. So here we are with the compost pile at the end of last season, the solar panels in the background, and the water totes underneath the panels. Vermicomposts are little red wigglers from our household waste products. This is when it's inside of the greenhouse. We have two of these. And during the summertime, in the greenhouse during the winter months, and outside on the north side of whatever structures we've got during the summer months. And these produce tremendous wigglers for us. And I just went out and popped up the top so you can see what the compost material looks like, and it's just loaded with the beautiful worms. Now, about our failures. So, what didn't work out? And I guess I should say here that failure to me is, along with pain and fear, are really just necessary components that ultimately lead to success. And like this little icon I got off of the web search, failure, success ends up being through failure. So unless you're getting up and going out there and trying, you really can't find out what doesn't work and ultimately find the best system for yourself. So here we go. So the mushroom plugs, I put those in over a year ago. This is an online picture I picked up. My mushrooms, I only got a couple of shiitake mushrooms off of them, but I've been so busy with my construction and excavating and the garden work, it's been tough to spend any time researching that. I am planning on doing it. Another big fail is I uncovered my wood. It got rained on and snowed on, and I just had a tarp over it. And, these things, and it's got the moisture of the ground just wicking up into it. So it's not a good way of drying out the wood. I did have enough wood for just about all of the season for the house, but I wouldn't have enough to do the maples sugar. Um, and I don't have the sugar shack built yet, so I've foregone maple syrup production this year, 2014. The solar dehydrator, this is a 90-gallon bow front aquarium that developed a leak, and I decided to turn it into a solar cooker. This one easily gets up to about 250 degrees, and it works great whenever we don't have overcast days. However, it isn't as efficient as using our little electric dehydrators, which work extremely well. I can't consistently uh, use this because I have to go out and check it a couple times a day, especially at nighttime, and look at the forecast for the next day to see if we're going to have enough overcast. Because that moisture inside of there will lead these to things to start developing mold. So I'm not canning this idea. I'm just not going to work on it too much this year and try and get the other projects developed and get the chicken coop dehydrator from the solar heat that rises in the greenhouse. Uh, what else? So the grid tied solar panels, they've worked extremely well, producing all of our energy for the property, and I'm really happy with that. The one thing I would do differently, if people living in this area, I would raise them up a little bit higher, 2 foot higher than what these ones actually are. And the other thing I did do, these are level here and these ones are level here, but in order to make sure that during the winter months, you see where the shadow casts here. So we've got about 12 feet before we get to the next array. Uh, Design this in such a way that this panel array is a couple feet higher than this, and I put it on a gradual slope going up. And during the winter months, when I've got a snow blow, remove all this snow, well, it's a challenge even with my front-mounted tractor snowblower because it just isn't as easy as a nice flat surface, a nice level surface in front of the solar panels. So if someone's going to install a system like this, don't put it on an angle if you've got to clean the snow away from it, or raise the array. This was another fail in a sense. This is our smallest pond, pond 6. And unfortunately, we hit sand in this area. And of course, the water comes down. It does overflow, go through the spillway just correctly, and goes down into pond 7. However, when I anticipate that this season that the water level will drop, because even over the winter months, I could see the ice falling down as it would leach through this. So I'm going to have to patch this. And I think I'm going to do a cardboard patch. Sound a little crazy? Well, we'll see if I fail with that too. Um, okay, harvesting. Gosh, we were so busy and our plants grew so much. So the plants grew so well that some of the plants that were later season harvesters, like the eggplants, I thought that they all had failed to develop properly because they had such growth going over them. And we planted so many plants close together, and a 6 foot wide bed over here, and a with a 5 foot walking area, and then another 3 foot bed here, and another 5 foot walking area, and then the hugelkultur around here. Well, everything grew so, it was like a jungle down in here. And we probably didn't get maybe 15% of the tomatoes that were developed. We got half of the cucumbers, half of the beans we didn't get. So there's quite a few things we never got. But once things started falling back, we did get a fair number of eggplants out of there. Now these are the pits that we put in. So I guess that ties it up for this video. And I just want to thank you for watching, and please click like down below if you found this helpful in any way, and I appreciate any comments or feedback. And I hope this helps someone who's considering doing this sort of project in the future. Thanks so much and have a wonderful day.